It's Melanie Folkes-Mayers from Eden Mayers HR Consulting. HR Consulting to keep you out of trouble and delivering your passion. So, today is Thursday, which means it's blog day and vlog day. So this month we are talking about health and well-being. This is week 2. So today I want to talk to you about stress management. We'll talk about stress management. This has been a crazy week for me. So last 4 week of my daughter being in nursery, full of different bits and pieces, plays and shows and sports day. One of the reasons for this natty t-shirt is because I'm about to go on her school outing. So I'm going to do this real quick and hope there are no children interrupting before I go. Now, so as I said, we're going to talk about stress today. Now, everybody has stress in their lives. It's impossible to have a life without stress. And while there's no universal definition of stress, it can be described as the way your body physically responds to mental or emotional pressure. So that pressure can come from your job, your relationship, your family. It can be money worries. It can be other commitments. It literally can come from anywhere. All of those things can contribute to your stress. And to a certain extent, when your stressors are coming from more than one place, that can also make it even more stressful. So if you are, for example, going through a restructure or redundancy at work and you are having issues in your relationships at home, that heightens your stress because you don't necessarily have an outlet then. All you are finding is stress at the workplace and stress when you come home. So the challenge isn't about removing stress. The challenge is about recognizing what stresses you or your team and knowing when too much pressure is applied. So a little bit of stress is quite good. When you've got a tight deadline, you need to get some stuff done. Sometimes having that pressure is good. But too much pressure, if that's going to just make you physically ill, it's going to make your brain fuzzy, it's not going to help you to get anything done, that is not a positive way to have stress. So what you need to understand is what your stresses are, what your stress level is, and what your outlets are for stress, so how you de-stress yourself. So as an entrepreneur, it's really easy to constantly be on. And because you're constantly on, sometimes your team will also feel that they need to constantly be on. And that can be the thing that causes a lot of stress. If you never put the phone down, never put the iPad down, never put your laptop down, eventually it will, like a pressure cooker, build up. And sometimes it takes, some weird external force. Like I know people who work really hard and then are in a car accident or someone close to them passes away and suddenly everything implodes and it feels like it's too much. So, you need to really think about where your stresses come from and what outlets you have for it, for you as an entrepreneur, but you also have to think about that from a point of view of the way that you manage, deal with and communicate with your staff. So I like to say there are either problem solvers or problem multipliers. And once I had a boss who was definitely a problem multiplier. She would, every time she came out of a meeting with her boss or teleconference with her boss, and pressure was applied, she would immediately kind of come out of those meetings and then apply that additional pressure to everyone that was below her. And it was as if her way of dealing with stress and funneling that stress was just to push it down the chain. So she just, kind of went gung-ho at her direct reports, and it made it for a very stressful, tense organisation because nobody knew when she would blow. So she could be absolutely fine, then she'd have a call, and then suddenly everything would become hugely stressful. And basically it didn't work well because she stressed everybody, and we got to a stage where there were multiple grievances raised against her, but also people were signed off sick for stress. And then it almost multiplies the stress because then there's less people to do the work, and it kind of became a really bad spiral until in the end she was exited from the organisation. So you have to think about what you can do about stress in the workplace, but you also have to think about what you can do around supporting your staff if they're having stress coming from external influences, because no man is an island, and it's impossible to, you know, walk out of a really stressful situation every morning and come into work and be fully, you know, utilized. Your brain is going to be elsewhere. It's going to be really hard to compartmentalize, love that word, what's going on in your life. So it's important to have that relationship where your staff feel comfortable in telling you about any problems that may not necessarily be work related, but may be affecting their work. And that also also it may well be better to say, why don't you take a break, why don't you go home, why don't you have a bit of a chill out, and think about what you need to do, and, you know, go see the doctor or whatever. It may well be worth doing that rather than having a conversation around them not working effectively, when actually maybe a couple of days off would have been enough to help them think through the things they needed to think about and make some action and put some things in place. So signs of stress to look for in your staff and yourself are negative or depressed feelings, being disappointed with yourself or in themselves, increased emotional reactions. I've seen that a lot with people when they're stressed. They get angry quicker, but they also cry and get really emotional quicker too. Being withdrawn, so not taking part in any social activity, tending to stay away from, you know, the kitchen when other people are in there, that kind of thing. A loss of motivation and commitment. So if you've got someone who's been a star employee and all of a sudden the quality of their work is lacking, their attention to detail, their timings and things is lacking, have that conversation. It may well be that there's something stressing them either in the workplace or outside the workplace, and they may well have mood swings, have issues with focus and concentration and poor memory. You may also notice changes in eating habits. People may gain a lot of weight quickly or lose weight quickly. You may stop eating, smoke more, drink more, that kind of thing. Also, obviously for yourself, because you might not know this about your staff, there might be changes in sleeping patterns, and also you might notice changes in things like arriving late or leaving early to the office. And you may also feel that in yourself. So I know that sometimes when I'm feeling particularly overwhelmed with stuff, I find it much more difficult to get out of bed in the morning. I find it much more difficult to motivate myself to do stuff first thing. So it's also to have awareness of that in yourself. In, you know, what everybody gets tired, but if you're like this day after day after day, thinking about what else could it be that I need to be addressing. Now, some of the techniques for stress management. Now, I'll always say that the very best thing, personally, I think, is talking to somebody. Sometimes you feel very, very alone, and just once you've shared your frustrations, your woes, your concerns, the things that are stressing you, sometimes that is even enough of a release. But even if it's not, speaking to someone else, getting another opinion and being able to put a plan into place to help relieve those stresses is vitally important. Sometimes you can't see the wood from the trees. You're just like, I'm just in this situation and I can't get out of it, and what am I going to do? But if someone else speaks to you, suddenly you're like, oh, okay, I can see that there is a way out of this. I can see that there is a way to get through this. So the other things would be looking at your time management, looking at some conflict resolution, some breathing exercises, some meditation, some exercise. So last week I spoke about how much I love to run and how that is almost my form of meditation. I do yoga as well, which is also awesome. But yeah, some of those things, you know, taking a walk outside, all of those things can help just to clear the mind and relieve the stresses. But the most important thing is, as an entrepreneur, where you are your business, as a manager of a team, you really need to make sure you've got those lines of communication open, and there are no taboo subjects, and there are no stupid questions. And if people feel comfortable in talking to you and coming to you, you will always be aware of what issues are happening and be able to think about innovative ways to address them. There, you can get much more information on stress management from the Health and Safety Executive. I will put a link in the comments so you can find the blog version of this chat we're having, and also you can see where the link is to find to get in touch with the health and safety exec. If you have any questions, comments, please do like, comment, share, put any questions in the comments, and we will be happy to address them next week. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, stay healthy, and I will see you again real soon. Bye.